Okay, my name is Jesus Torres, and today I'm going to talk about wrestling. But I'm going to go from top to bottom and talk about how the match starts, and how the match ends. Because usually people know that somebody has to win, somebody has to lose, somebody gets pinned, takedowns, and all that. It's like very simple stuff, but there's actually a lot of stuff to it, a lot of criteria and all that type of stuff. But before a wrestler even steps on a mat, he has to have these three things. First off is a headgear. Headgear does a lot more than what it looks like it does. It's on your head for sure, but it also protects your ears. You've probably noticed most of your wrestlers or fighters, anything along that line, have really nasty, juicy ears. So this helps prevent that from happening. Another thing, the most part embarrassing thing, at least for first timers, is a singlet. A singlet does a lot to you, more than what it looks like. It helps stop from getting your hands stuck into a shirt or anything like that. I've had that happen to me plenty of times in practices, and it does not feel good, especially fingers, little stuff like that. So singlet actually does a lot. And lastly are wrestling shoes. Wrestlers are required to have wrestling shoes because normal shoes mess up a mat or they're not allowed, and being barefoot is kind of nasty because the mats are kind of dirty and people sweat, so it's good to have wrestling shoes. Okay, usually when you see a match start, you see a wrestler, or let's just say I'm this wrestler and I'm wearing a red singlet. But anyways, I'm wearing a red singlet. I approach the timer's table. And the timer's table keeps track of the time and the score. So at the table, I approach it and they'll wait for my opponent. And let's say my opponent is wearing a black singlet. So right off the bat, they'll be like, Jesse, you're red, and then my opponent is green. And these are the two colors that they give us because the ref is wearing a red wristband and a green wristband to just differentiate the scores, and so that nobody gets confused and nobody gets points that they weren't supposed to get. Okay. Usually when you see people step on the mat, and say this is the mat, and in the middle there's a circle. In the middle of that circle there's two lines, and the ref would say approach the mat. So that means that I have to be ready to step on the line that's there, because in the middle of the circle, like I said, there's two lines. And I'm gonna step on the mat, and my opponent's gonna step on the mat, and the ref's gonna say, are you ready? And then we'll say yes, and he'll say shake hands. And once we shake hands, usually he's about to blow a whistle, but if let's say I move or I approach him in any way, that means that I'll get a caution. And if it happens again, I can get a point deducted for me or given to the other person, how the ref how the ref feels. So let's say the ref blows a whistle for wrestling. Usually the first round, nothing could really happen that you could get lost. Either somebody gets taken down or set, or nothing could even happen. It goes 0-0. But second round is usually where people get lost, because the ref will pull out a little card in his back pocket, which represents a coin. And it has a red and green side. Like I said, I have the red ankle bracelet around me, and my opponent has a green ankle bracelet around him. So they'll flip the coin. They're like, red, you won the toss. And that means I could either choose neutral, how we started from the first round, which where we both approached the mat like that, or the confusing one is referees. Referees is when you get on all four of your knees, or on all fours, your knees and your hands. But instead of facing your opponent like that, you kind of use it to keep a separation. So let's say I have to go down, I'm going to do it. Let's say the lines are like this. I have to just keep a good separation and go down all fours. And that's referees. So if I chose down, I'd be in that same position in all fours, and the opponent has to get on top. But if I choose up, on top, that means my opponent has to go down and I go on top of him. But most scenarios, whoever wins the toss, they choose down. Or you can even just decline it. When you decline it, that means it's his turn, or he gets to choose from those three things that I just mentioned. And then the next round is my choice no matter what. But okay, let's say I chose down and the match is going. The third round, my opponent, how I said, would choose top, down, neutral, or defer. And that's usually how the match ends. There could be a whole bunch of other things, but like I said, I'm going to go into it step by step. Let's say, how can a match end, Jesse? Well, somebody could get pinned, and that's when both shoulders are touched onto the mat, and the ref sees it and calls it a pin. And then a tech is when somebody's winning by 15 points or more. So like let's say my opponent has 3, I'd have to have 18. 15 no matter what as a technical fall. And then an injury default, somebody could get hurt and they'll stop the match. I've seen legs and arms broken, it's kind of crazy. And also somebody could just get ejected out the match, either doing like what I said, approaching too much or just wrestling dirty. You could get ejected out the match. Okay, then this is where it gets kind of confusing. Well, what happens if they're both tied up? If we're both tied up, let's just say we have what's called a sudden death. For the first round, that's 1 minute, me and my opponent on our feet. So let's say nobody scores, then we have to go into the next overtime. But if I were to score, then the match would be over. But like I said, we'll go into the scenario. Say nobody scores, it goes into double overtime. And from double overtime, most people choose down to escape. Just if you get your 1, that means all you have to do the next round is hold the opponent down from scoring, and then the match is over. But let's say we both don't score, goes to both overtimes. Then the last overtime, whoever's at what position they choose, then the person has to either stop the person from scoring or score to win the match. Okay, and this is also a really confusing one. Like, it's very controversial because people like to this day don't call it right. But takedowns are from when both knees touch the mat. So something could happen and somebody could be completely behind somebody and look like a takedown, but as long as both knees don't touch and they get clear away from them, then that's not a takedown. And then near fall. Near fall is a big one too, because people will say, oh, that was not a near fall, that was back points, that wasn't back points. It's pretty much half of a pin to get a near fall. You have to have shoulders exposed to the mat, and a ref will count 1, 2, 3. The 3 count is 2 points, and anything, they'll only count to 5 points, because then you have to do a new move. So they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means you get 3 points, they'll award you 3 points, and you have to do another move. So that's pretty much it. Well, and then referees too. Referees, you can score many ways. You can score 5 points if you play your cards right, but usually it goes reversal. 2 is when you get around the opponent, or 1 escape is when you're on referees and you stand up and you clear your hips away, and we're both looking like how we both started in our referee's position. We're both standing at each other. That's how you get 1 point. And then how I said you play your cards right is if you do reversal and you expose the opponent's back, and you get 5 points. You have to get, or you could get 4 too. If you get 2 near fall, or 3 near fall, or 5. If you get 5 near fall, then you get 3. So that's how you get 5 points from that. So that's how you get confused, really. Like, matches could start, or like you see a match, somebody could be winning by 8 points and out of nowhere just lose or get pinned. So it's kind of crazy. You just gotta be on it. But most of everything that I just showed you right now is key concepts of getting it. So I hope when you watch a wrestling match next time, you fully know what's going on and pay attention and are actually into it. Because most people aren't into things because they don't know about it. So why be into it if you don't know nothing about it? So I hope you learned something. Thanks for listening.